Hello, this is Overlordbou back with another information video with SAT score, and today we'll be going over the changes coming to the Vermont line in 11.5. So the Kansas, Minnesota, and Vermont will be getting a buff coming in 11.5. Currently, you can test out the changes that are going on in the test server if it's still up by the time you see this video. But yep, the Vermont, Minnesota, Kansas are getting a buff. So before we go into that, I am going to go over the build of the Vermont real quick. As you can see on the top right of the screen, this is currently the build. The main change that we did for the Vermont is brisk. Adding brisk instead of having the survivability expert, which makes it where you have a quicker time of getting the fire and flood off. Pretty much since they also are buffing the concealment of the Vermont, it is now worth it to take brisk. But it isn't mandatory since it's not adding that much speed, so you are able to take if you like or not. It's just a build suggestion for that. Now, before we go into my reasoning on why I think the Vermont is now Clan Wars viable, I'll let SAT score go over the dev blog talking about the Vermont.
So we'll look at a dev blog here going over the more specific changes to Vermont. Reload time of the repair party consumable has been reduced from 80 to 40 seconds. This is the same fast reloading repair party that the US secondary line, i.e. Massachusetts, Georgia, and Ohio get. Also, almost as important, the amount of HP restored by the consumable from damage received in the Citadel, including torpedoes, has been increased from 10% to 50%. Normally, battleships can only recover 10% of any hits to the Citadel, but bringing it up to 50 effectively treats it like a normal penetration. Another huge one is that the engine parameters have been changed. So Vermont will accelerate forward and backwards a lot faster, literally in half the time it does right now. Casemate side armor has also increased from 38 to 51 millimeters. Detectability by ships have been reduced. Vermont is a lot stealthier, coming at 16 kilometers. And finally, her main battery shells have been changed slightly. So they'll take longer to fly, so they're a bit slower, but they have increased armor penetration in close range, but reduced armor penetration at longer ranges. So the reload, the repair party consumable, and the engine changes are also applied to Kansas and Minnesota. But overall, it looks like Wargaming has significantly changed Vermont, giving a significant buff to its repair party consumable and its acceleration and concealment. So Bo, since you've played Vermont a few times on the test server, what do you think of those changes?
So the changes of the Vermont that have been done, as you'll be seeing through this match, it makes the Vermont a lot more tanky, able to stand up to a lot more fire, and you're also able to dodge a lot more torpedoes with the acceleration engine. It makes it where you can kind of throttle juke a lot more as well, as you'll be seeing throughout the battle that I'll be doing is a lot more throttle juking. But let's also talk about in the devlog about the Kansas and the Vermont. I'm sorry, not the Kansas and the Minnesota. So for the Kansas, I'll be showing on the top right, is going to be showing the reload time of the repair party goes from 80 to 40, and it has the same engine change that's going to be going on with the Vermont. And the Minnesota is getting a bulkhead beneath the forward supercharger increase of 25 to 38. This is a significant buff to its armor for the tier 9 area, to where the HE meta that's going on right now, it pretty much helps it with that a crap ton currently. It also helps with the detectability of ships has been reduced as well. So the Kansas and Minnesota have both received a significant buff as well. So usually whenever you're playing tier 8 or 9, the Kansas and Minnesota be seen as really farmable ships. But now with this new buff, they're going to be a lot more tankier. So it's going to be a lot harder to be able to kill them. But now rotating back to the Vermont, whenever I was playing the Vermont today and I was running the brisk, I was able to get closer to enemies since the concealment's now down to 12.6 when it's fully built. But again, the brisk doesn't do a significant change, but what it does do is with the 12.6 concealment and how strong the guns are on the Vermont, It means you don't have to just play super long range. It's kind of like with the change of the main shell parameters, it makes it seem like they're trying to push the players to be a little bit more into the battle with the Vermont, with the buff to the DCP and the buff to the repair party. Sorry, not the DCP, just the buff to the repair party. It makes it where you're able to take a lot more damage and heal it back quicker. So if you take the flags that I suggested earlier in the build where I had it up on the screen, you get a 5% decrease of the time of the consumables. So pretty much you can get a heal up every 38 seconds. So having it to heal about 19 to 20,000 health every 38 seconds, that is a significant change to the Vermont, which makes it a lot more viable in random battles and also in clan battles. I know that's kind of far-fetched to hear, but if you're able to build around the Vermont and have, say, 2 Condes as your super ships, the Vermont's going to be a very hard battleship to kill, but it's gonna have to be a very skilled player. Since it has a 40-second reload, not a lot of people are going to want to take the Vermont. But if you have a very skilled battleship player that knows how to use it HP pool effectively and also throttle juke with it, you can dodge a lot of shells with it, as you'll be seeing throughout this video. I was dodging a lot of the battleship shells by just throttle juking, which is pretty far-fetched for how big the Vermont is, but it is now capable, which is kind of hilarious to think about. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering all different sorts of skills. Skillshare can help you make 2022 a year of new learning and growth and connection through creativity. Have a specific skill you're trying to learn? Skillshare is a perfect place to start, from photography and illustration to graphic design, freelancing, and more. You can find classes that will match your goals. My interest, of course, is around YouTube and Twitch. So I enjoyed the class YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with Marquise Brownlee. It helped me a lot on how to edit on YouTube, which helps out the content for you all to enjoy. Now, the first 1,000 people to use the link will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. The link is in the description down below. Now back to the video.
So, building upon the clan battles part, Vermont is going to be a very interesting pick. Because of that huge increase in survivability, she could, in theory, actually take a good battleship role, kind of get closer compared to other battleships, while being able to push in, be able to run, well, maybe not run away, but being a lot more versatile than she was before. The main problem is still her top speed. No matter what you're going to do, she's still slow, so she won't be able to rotate to problem areas of the map. But that may not be necessary. You can literally use Vermont and shove it up a flank, and the enemy will be very hard pressed to stop it, especially when you support it with other ships.
Now, one suggestion I have is that if you've seen a lot of Satsuma players in clan battles, they don't really move a lot. Like, the battleships don't really need to move a lot on most of the maps. Like, the battleships don't really move that far. So usually a lot of the strats, they just have the battleship sniping where it can cover one side of the map, and then if it needs to turn around to be able to shoot at the other side, it doesn't really have to move that much. So say people are running a Satsuma or like a Yamato, they can kind of just switch to they could actually switch to a Vermont instead. Or maybe if they're trying to utilize the Vermont in that way. Again, the Vermont is going to be able to take a lot of the HE farm that right now, whenever I play Satsuma in clan battles, I do suffer from being HE focused from Condes or from Mecklenburg. Surprisingly, there have been a few strategies where Mecklenburgs were used with like a Hindenburg to farm with HE, and you kind of get melted down pretty quickly. That's not going to happen with the Vermont. Since it has such a quick heal, you're going to be able to keep healing over and over and over again until you're out, of course. But It's just a lot of HP you can heal back really quickly. Like, that's something that makes the Massachusetts so strong. The Massachusetts, Georgia, and the Ohio super strong is that really quick heal. So that makes them very, very strong for clan battles. Sorry, well, yeah, well, yes, the Ohio for clan battles, my apologies. But no, that makes them very strong battleships. So seeing that on the Vermont it's going to be really interesting. I'm definitely, whenever the patch 11.5 comes out, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if a lot of the top clans either put in Vermont or if they just don't, and just seeing how it goes.
Also expect a lot of Vermonts to be played in the at the beginning of the patch. You'll see a lot of Vermonts, but maybe not everyone adjusting to her closer range playstyle. Well, anything else you want to add, Bo?
Nope, that would be it. But let's talk about the final part of the devblog. So on the devblog, the United States is getting nerfed. The tactical squadron maximum torpedo damage being reduced from 8,200 to 7,600, and the chance of flooding is going from 68% to 63%. So I'm glad they are nerfed in the United States. It is definitely needed for how much damage the torpedoes do. The final change that they did is for the submarines. They added dispersion when launching torpedoes. So they did do this. I'll be showing on the top right of the screen so you guys can see how it did. And I'll let SAT Score explain more about these submarine changes.
So if you notice when you're playing destroyers, when you fire your torpedoes, they don't all come out exactly in a pattern. You'll occasionally see like small gaps or big gaps between torpedoes, especially as they cover more distance. So they've applied a similar logic to submarines, and their logic is that it'll make it harder for subs to hit the same spot on a ship that's like, say, stationary or bow in. So personally, I don't think this is a very good change. The reason is like subs is one thing, but adding dispersion as a balancing factor, I don't think that's adding RNG to fix it doesn't actually change that much. Like, the guided torpedoes are not affected, and the unguided torpedoes, like, it's pretty rarely used unless you get super close to an enemy battleship. But I feel like this is just not a very good change overall. I don't like the thought of using RNG to try and balance out stuff like this. I'd rather see more of a concept change.
That will be it for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions or concerns about the new legendary King Vermont, let us know in the comments down below. Well, this is Overlordbou, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.